Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's recite the Gita Dhyanam before we start our class.
मैंने अभी रीना का फोन आया था, रीना की बात कर रहे थे पहले सुबह सोनिया का आया।
ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायण स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराण मुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतमृतवर्षिणे भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायने आम त्वामनुसन्धामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणे नमो अस्तु ते व्यास विशाल बुद्धे फूल अरविंद आयत पत्र नेत्र येन तव्या भारत तैलपूर्णः प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमया प्रदीपः प्रपन्न पारिजाताय तोत्र वेत्र एकपाने ज्ञान मुद्राय कृष्णाय गीता अमृत दुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपाल नंदना पार्थो वत्सा सुधीर भोगता दुग्धम गीता अमृतम महत वसुदेव सुतम देवम कंस चानूरमर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णम वंदे जगद्गुरुम भीष्म द्रोण तटा जयद्रथ चला गांधार नीलोत्पला शल्य ग्रावती कृपेन वाहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण गोर्मकरा दुर्योधन अवर्तनी सो तीर्ना खलु पांडवै रन नदी के वर्तका केशवा पाराशरे वत्सरोजमलम गीता अर्थ गंधोटकम नानाख्यान केसरम हरि कथा संबोधन बोधितम लोके सज्जन षटपदे रह रह पेपिये मानम मुदा भूयाद भारत पंकजम कलिमल प्रध्वंसी न श्रेयसे मूकम करोति वाचालम पंगुम लंघ्यते गिरिम यत्कृपातमं वंदे परमानंद माधवम यम ब्रह्म वरुण इंद्र रुद्र मरुताः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यस्तवे वेदै सांग पद क्रमोपनिषदै गायन्ति यम सामगा ध्यानवस्थित तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यम योगिनो यस्यन्तं न विदुषुर असुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः। So chapter 18, the last chapter, Moksha Sanyas Yog. We ended the last time the class with verse number 41 now. And that's where Lord Krishna mentioned the Brahman, the Vaishya, the Shudra, and the Kshatriya also. They have a duties. And those classifications are according to their swabhav, the inner nature, and the duties they are supposed to perform in the society. Whether we call this a caste or whether we call it a classification or division, every society has divisions. And that's what Lord Krishna is telling us over here. He says of scholars, of leaders, and of traders, also as workers, O Paramtap, the duties are distributed according to the qualities born of their nature and guns. Swabhav Prabhave Gunai. So very clearly he is telling us what this is all about. So now in verse number 42, he is talking about the Brahmans. So what kind of a swabhav we should have that we are Brahmans? Shama, Dama, Tapaha, Shaucham, Kshantihi, Arjvam, Evacha, Jnanam, Vijnanam, Astikyam, Brahm, Karam, Swabhavajam. Sham, Sham means serenity. Serenity of the mind. Peacefulness of the mind, that's called Sham. Dam is self-constraint. When we restrain our senses, that is Dam. So Sham has to do with the mind and Dam has to do with the senses. Tap, austerity. Shaucham, purity. Kshanti, forgiveness. Or patience, Kshanti. Arjavam, uprightness, integrity. Arjavam. Ev means even, Cha means and. Second line, Jnanam, knowledge, Vijnanam, wisdom, realization. Astikyam, belief in God. Astikta. Opposite of astikta is what? Nastikta. So astikta is faith in God, belief in God. Brahma karam, the duties of Brahman. So bhavajam, born of nature. So serenity, self-restraint, austerity, purity, forgiveness, and also uprightness, knowledge, realization, belief in God are the duties of the Brahmins, born of their own nature. So we have a detailed enumeration of the duties of a Brahman born out of his own predominantly sattvic nature. So Brahman is predominantly sattvic. And we have been learning what sattvic is, what sattvic buddhi is, what sattvic karam is, what sattvic food is. So whenever life is full of sattvikta from every angle, he even talked about sattvic intellect, sattvic knowledge, sattvic tapasya also. So when everything in our life is sattvic, we can see that more and more purity in our life. So let's look at each and every term over here, little bit more clearly. We should know this because we all want to become more sattvic. So Shama, controlling the mind, because mind likes to run into the world of objects. Mind wants to seek sense enjoyment. To control that instinctive flow of the mind towards the sense objects is called Shama. Because if mind keeps on running towards outside, there is no control, there's no calmness, there's no serenity. And Dhamma, controlling the sense organs. Because sense organs are the gateways through which the external world of stimuli infiltrates into our mental domain. And that's how the peace of our mind goes away. So we got to practice Dhamma also. And we are all familiar with all these senses. Our eyes, our ears, our nose, taste, touch, all of these senses should be controlled. A true Brahman is one who practices constantly both Shama and Dhamma. It's not just one-time practicing, it's a continuous practicing because we live in this objective world. These objects keep on drawing us towards them. So we got to control them. Austerity, which means tapa, conscious physical self-denial so that we can economize our energy. Otherwise, all our energy just keeps on dissipating through the wrong channels of self-indulgence. We got to learn how to conserve this energy so that we can reach the higher unfoldment. That is called Tapa. So by the practice of Shama, Dhamma, the Brahman will be steadily controlling both the mad rush of his senses and his mind wandering, and can live in as a tapasvi. That's what tap is. They're all interrelated. Shauch, purity. That means the external cleanliness and internal purity. So the habits of cleanliness in our personal life and our surroundings is very important. Even if we want to practice Shama and Dhamma, this purity is needed. In fact, even the practice of tapa happens easily if there's a purity of the mind and purity outside. So that's why it is a duty of the Brahman to keep himself ever clean and pure. Kshanti. got to learn to be patient. We got to be forgiving. And live without struggling even against wrongs done against us. If we have decided to be on this path, that doesn't mean everybody around us is on this path. So we got to be forgiving. It also means forbearance. That is the duty of a Brahman. Brahman will never harbor any hatred for anyone. That's a Brahman. Because the minute we have the wrong feelings towards somebody, we are losing our purity. We are losing our control over our senses or the control over our mind. And a Brahman wants to live equanimously during the good and during the bad also. The next duty of a Brahman is arjavam. This is a quality which makes a person straightforward in all the dealings. His uprightness makes him fearless in life. You're not afraid. He is afraid of none. He makes no compromise of the higher calls with the lower murmurings. That's called arjavam. So cultivating these 6 qualities, serenity, self-control, austerity, purity, forbearance, and straightforwardness, and also expressing them in all the relationships with the world outside, that is a lifelong duty of a Brahman. But then in the second line of this verse, 2 more duties Lord Krishna is mentioning of a Brahman. Jnanam and Vijnanam. Jnanam is the theoretical knowledge of the world. The knowledge which is, we need to know where we are living, the knowledge of this Prakriti also. So the outer world and knowledge of the higher goal of life also. The knowledge of the nature of the spirit also. So in other words, knowledge of all that the Upanishads deal with is included here in the term Jnanam. And then what is Vijnan then? Personal experience, realization. When the knowledge is digested, knowledge is assimilated, it brings home to that person an inward experience. And he comes to live his life guided by this deep inner experience, which we call Vijnan or wisdom. That's why they say knowledge can be imparted, but wisdom is to be found by the individual himself. Teacher can teach us, books we can read, but ultimately to reflect upon them, to have the assimilation of that knowledge, to have the experience, that is up to us. That is a very personal thing we do. Because when a student discovers in himself the enthusiasm to live the knowledge, which he has studied from the Upanishads, then he feels that the wisdom has arrived in him. It's not only saying that I should be pure, I should be upright, I should do my duties. He's doing it also then, not just talking about. Not just saying the words that we should not hurt anybody. He does not hurt anybody. Not just the words that I should not lie. He does not lie. He doesn't even have to say that we should not lie. He does not lie. And the last one he said, astikyam, faith. Unless a person has a deep faith in what he or she is studying, cannot live those whatever he is studying, cannot live that enthusiastically. So this ardency of conviction, which is the motive force behind one who lives what he has understood, that is a faith. Without faith, you cannot do it. So it's like an inner order, intellectual honesty. It's a very subtle enthusiasm. It's called faith. So to grow and steadily cultivate knowledge, wisdom, and faith, those are also the sacred duties of a Brahman. So in this simple looking verse, a lot has been packed here for the duties of a Brahman. Sham, Dam, Tap, Shauch, Shanti, Arjo, Gyan, Vigyan, and Astikta. These are the qualities for a Brahman. What are the duties of a Kshatriya? Verse number 43. Shauryam tejaha dhriti dakshyam yudhe cha api apalayanam danam ishwar bhava cha kshatram karam swabhavajam. Shauryam, prowess, tej, splendor, dhriti, firmness, dakshyam, dexterity, yudhe, in battle, cha means and, api also, apalayanam, not flying, not fleeting, not running away. Danam, generosity, Ishwar bhava, lordliness, cha means and, kshatram of kshatriya, karam actions, swabhavajam, born of nature. So prowess, splendor, firmness, dexterity, and also not fleeing from battle. Generosity, lordliness. These are the duties of the Kshatriyas, born of their own nature. So Kshatriyas have a greater dose of Rajogun in them, in the composition of their personality. So you can see that Kshatriya is not defined as the lawful son of another Kshatriya. Just like a Brahman is not a son of a Brahman. So he is enumerating series of qualities and behaviors noticed in a Kshatriya personality. Shauryam and Tej. So in a Kshatriya, there is a vigor and constancy with which he meets the challenges in life. That means there is a quality of a hero in him and vigor of the pursuit. So this kind of a personality becomes a very commanding personality, Kshatriya personality. Dhriti, fortitude. It is the powerful will of the personality. Once a person has decided to do something, he has that drive in him, has the constancy of purpose to meet. He can break down all the obstacles until he gains victory or success. That is called fortitude. Has decided, enthusiasm is there, and just moving towards that, one-pointed. Then Dakshyam. Dakshyam is a quality of alertness, smart vigilance. That is Dakshyam. So that means a Kshatriya is prompt in coming to decisions, not wavering. He knows how to execute them too. Kshatriya is industrious and has a high level of perseverance. No matter what kind of a hazard is there, ready to cross over. That is a Kshatriya. Apalayanam, not fleeting from battle. So that doesn't mean that Kshatriyas are only the warriors. It really means any field of conflict, any kind of a work they have decided, they will never leave it incomplete. They will finish it. Whatever they have decided, whatever they have started. Purple line. Then Danam, generosity. A leader cannot be popular unless they loosen their wallet a little. That's Dana. So a man of action cannot afford to be miserly, because his success will depend upon his influence on a large number of friends and supporters. So that's why they say the glory of a prince is in his compassion for others who are in need of help. That's Danam. Generous nature is a Kshatriya nature. Ishwar Bhav, lordliness. Without self-confidence in his or her own abilities, a person cannot lead. So a leader must have a firm faith in himself. Only then he can reinforce others' frail hearts around him with his self-confidence. So lordliness is one of the essential traits in a Kshatriya. It's almost like a very dynamic personality. Kshatriya can electrify the atmosphere around him. That's why they say that lordliness is the hallmark of a Kshatriya. So these are 8 qualities. And you can see from these qualities that Kshatriya's nature predominantly Rajasic with a mixture of Sattva Guna, but predominantly Rajasic. So this makes a Kshatriya royal, heroic, daring, commanding, charitable. So their qualities are suitable for leadership. So wherever they go, whatever they do, it could be the administrative class, which can govern the country. But this, at the same time, they realized that they are not as learned, as pure as Brahmins. That's why when you read about these kings, their stories, they respected the Brahmins, took advice from them on the ideological, spiritual, and policy matters also. All those kings, they had the gurus guiding them. So those who possessed predominantly sattvic nature were the Brahmins, or are the Brahmins. And their primary duties we saw in the verse number 42. Austerity and purity of mind, devotion. Through that, they can inspire others. They were expected to be tolerant, humble, spiritually minded. Those are Brahman. Expected to perform Vedic rituals for themselves and for the others. And their swabhav, their inner nature, inclined them toward a love for knowledge. So the profession of teaching, cultivating knowledge, sharing it with others is suitable for a Brahman. So Brahman doesn't like to participate in the government administration. Sure, they can guide the kings and the leaders, but themselves, they don't like to get involved in the politics. This is what we see in these couple of verses. Next verse, verse number 44. Duties of the Vaishya and the Shudra. Let's look at that, what Lord Krishna is saying. Krishi, Gorakshehe, Vanijyam, Vaishya Karam Svabhavajam. Paricharyatmakam karma shudrasya api swabhavjan. Krishi, agriculture. Go raksha, cattle rearing. Vanijyam, commerce, trade. Vaishya karma, the duties of the Vaishya. Swabhavjam, born of nature. Paricharyatmak, serving through work. It's like a serving everybody. Karam is action, Shudrasya of the Shudra, Api is also Subhavjam, born of their intrinsic nature. So first line is for the Vaishya, the traders, the second line is for the Shudras, the workers. So agriculture, cattle rearing and trade are the duties of the Vaishyas, born of their own nature. And the service is the duty of the Shudras, born of their own nature. See, the Rajasic mind cannot fly into meditation. Cannot come to that poise easily, as beautifully as a Sattvic mind can. So the same way in the field in which the Kshatriya can outshine everybody, a Vaishya or Shudra cannot. They are good in their own area. So that's why we got to see that whatever Swabhav is, this is a social system. For all the members, there is a part to play for everybody. So the Vaishyas are those, so nature is predominantly Rajasic with a mixture of Tamoguna, inclined towards producing and possessing. Economic wealth, it could be through business, it could be through agriculture. So that's why they're called the traders, the business people. And the Shudras are predominantly tamasic nature, inclined towards, no inclination actually towards scholarship, administration, or even business. So the best way for their progress is to serve the society according to their calling, according to their own swabhav. So work in a spirit of dedication and the service is the duty of a Shudra. So even if a Shudra works like this, can attain the highest. This is what he'll tell us in the next few verses. First, we got to know whatever Swabhav is, whatever nature is, then work according to that, and then we can uplift ourselves. So the mental temperament of a person determines what class he belongs to, and each class has been given particular duties to perform in the world. Okay, so they're all equally important. In the society, we need the servers also. We need the traders also. We need the scholars also. By knowing the duties, if we want to change, for example, change our Swabhav. So it's not just the name of a person, decide which class or which caste, it's the Swabhav of that person. If a person has a commercial temperament, like a Vaishya, and that person comes to serve the temple as a priest, sacred place, that place will become worse than the trading center. We must analyze and discover the type of vasanas and the temperaments that are predominant in each one of us. All this knowledge is for us. First, we just know it. Then we just try to go through it, assimilate that in us. And if we want to become more sattvic, then we got to cultivate those qualities. So according to the qualities, the person is whether a Brahman or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. That's what he's telling us. And each one can serve the society as best he can. That's what he's encouraging us to do. Each one must work in a spirit of dedication for his own evolution and sense of fulfillment. When each one works according to his vasanas and fully devotes his attention to his prescribed duties, it is said that he will develop within himself, and stage by stage will attain the ultimate perfection. But the problem is that we don't look within. We don't see what our temperament is. We don't see what our strengths are. We want to look at the fruits only. We want to see how do we look better to others. More focus is there. And that's why there's always a confusion. So Lord Krishna is just telling us very clearly over here in these verses that when a person works devotedly in the proper field and in the environment best suited to him, he'll be exhausting the existing vasanas. We are here in this beautiful human body to exhaust our vasanas. Because when these vasanas are reduced, only then we can feel the tranquility and the peace. And what are the vasanas? Vasanas are the subtle impressions in our chit. Those are the vasanas. Who put those vasanas in there? We did. We have to take responsibility. When did we do it? That we have forgotten. But we did put it. That is a fixed law. We are the one who put it there, knowingly or unknowingly. But we are the one who put it there. So it's up to us to remove them. And he says, if you just work, keeping this in mind, what your temperament is, you can reduce those vasanas. Only then it will become possible for us to discover more and more what is happening, and we can work with a full concentration. Or we can do the single-pointed contemplation also. And we can reach the state of perfection. State of perfection. Who we are, the Atma. How it can happen? In the next verse he is telling us. So in these 3 verses, he just enumerated the qualities of a Brahman, qualities of a Kshatriya, qualities of the Vaishya and the Shudra. So these 3 verses. Now in this verse number 45, which we're going to go into next week, but let's look at it. What we're going to be learning, because the how is in this verse. Sve sve karmani abhirata samsiddhim labhte nara swakaram nirtaha siddhim yatha vindati katashrinu. He says, devoted each to his own duty. Sve sve means in one's own, not in somebody else's, your own. Devoted each to his own duty, person attains perfection. How engaged in his own duty he attains perfection? He says, listen. Listen. So this is where we are going to start next week. Okay? So it's like a swe means our swadharma. Duties based upon our own gunas. Duties based upon our station of life. Performing them ensures that we use the potential abilities of our body and mind. There's a lot of power in our mind, a lot of power in our body. We can work constructively, beneficially. And this is what leads us towards the purification and growth. That's how we become auspicious for ourselves also and for the society also. Otherwise, we are dangerous to ourselves and we are a danger to the society also when we don't even know what is really happening. When we are just looking at only the fruit, not our own capability as well as our own duties. So very beautifully, clearly, Lord Krishna is telling us how to live, how to use this human life to attain the Godhood. So let's stop it here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.